everybody, Mike McWilliams, Upstairs to the Right Music Channel. Thank you so much for joining in today. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. Watch this. Upstairs to the Right Music has released a new album with our in-house band Asanoki, titled Ants in the Pantry. Support this channel by going to bandcamp.com and buy your copy today. Okay, today I have a little bit of a video for you that I think you'll find interesting. I have recently acquired a second 1x12 amp for the Upstairs to the Right studio here. As you know, for a long time we have been using our Laney here. But I thought that maybe it would be a good idea to supplement the Laney with another amp that didn't compete with it, but rather complemented it. Now, the Laney is not really known for its clean, to be sure. The circuit is based on a hot-rodded JCM 800. So that gives you its pedigree right there. So it did a pretty good job with its clean setting on it when I needed it, but I really wanted a true clean sounding amp. So I bought myself the Fender Champion 40. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this amp in regards to what it is. It's been around for 10 years now. As a matter of fact, the same amount of time that the Laney has been around. Both of them, in my opinion, in those 10 years have shown themselves to be great amps for the money. So we'll talk about that on another show, another day. We'll talk about these budget amps and how great they are. But for today, we're actually going to be doing something with this Fender Champ 40 that I think is a needed upgrade to it. Now, as you know, recently Fender came out with the Champion 50 XL, which is basically the Champion 40 with a much better upgraded speaker in it. And I think even Fender is admitting that these amps would benefit from an upgraded speaker. Now, again, I got this amp in order to complement my Laney, so I'm not interested in getting distorted tones out of this like I would with the Laney. No, I'm interested in the clean tones that I can have out of this with a slight amount of distortion. With that in mind, the current 1x12 that comes with this is the Fender Special Design speaker. Nobody seems to know where and who designed it, what it is. There's no label on it on the back at all, so not a lot to go off in terms of identifying the maker of these speakers. However, for what it is, it actually does pretty well. You see, this speaker has to be an everyman speaker. It has to be a neither here nor there speaker because there's emulations on channel 2 of this, like Marshalls and Metal Sounds, that this speaker has to be able to handle, as well as the Fender cleans in channel 1. So with that in mind, again, it's a neither here nor there kind of speaker. I am focusing really clearly on the clean aspects of this Fender. Again, if you're not looking to get clean or to improve the clean channel out of this amp, this is not a modification that I would recommend to you. I would say that you might want to go in the direction of maybe a Weber or a Celestion speaker. However, if you are here to see how you can improve the cleans out of your Fender Champ, you've come to the right place, because I will be replacing that speaker inside with this speaker right here. This is a Jensen C12N speaker, made in Italy. It's been gathering dust for the last 10 years here. It finally has a home that we can put it in. But yeah, a 2010 Jensen C12N is what this is. Going back to the 1950s when Leo Fender contacted the Jensen company in Chicago and said, hey, I want to try out your speakers and my amps. And it's been a success story ever since. So who am I to mess with that formula? So what I'm going to do is replace the Fender Special Design speaker inside the Champ 40 with this Jensen C12N. So let's do that, guys. Let's do a speaker swap here today. I'll show you how I do it. We'll film that, we'll take a look at that, and then we'll listen to how this sounds. By the way, there's enough videos on YouTube that you can hear the stock speaker in this amp My room, my guitar, again, is not really going to help you in any kind of regard in terms of how this is going to work in your situation. Again, speaker swaps, just like pickup swaps, are very personal. I will know the minute that I put this in whether or not it'll work. I already know it before I put it in what it's going to sound like, and that really helps a lot too, to know the direction that you're trying to go in terms of your sound with your 1x12 cabinet combos or 2x12s, whatever you're doing a speaker swap in, to know where it is that you're going in, to know what the speaker that you're putting in sounds like is very important. YouTube videos are very helpful, but they can be deceiving. So Ellie and I are, hey Ellie, we're gonna take a look at this and see what we can do to swap this speaker out. Now, Ellie has a lot of experience swapping speakers, more than me. That's kind of her thing, so she's gonna supervise and make sure that I do this right. Is that correct, Ellie? Okay, I'm going on with it. I'm going with it. All right, so really, primarily with this speaker swap, there's two things that I can see that are going to be an issue, minor issues, but ones that you should be aware of that you're going to run into if you're swapping speakers in the Champion 20, 40, or 50 series. Maybe the 100, I don't know, but we're talking about 1x12s and 1x8s right now. The first one is, you'll see here with the speaker connectors, you have a regular size connector and a small size connector. And when you get around to swapping speakers, generally the replacement speakers will all have the large size connectors to them. So you say to yourself, what am I to do? Well, you have a couple of options in this situation. One of the things that you can do is cut the wire where it joins the clip, strip the wire back, and then solder that to the connection. As long as it's a solid connection to the wire to the speaker, you're golden. An easier thing to do, and what I think I'm going to do today, is when you disconnect this and you're ready to, before you're ready to reconnect it again, take a screwdriver, and we're going to actually widen this so that it will fit a regular size clamp just like this one. That's probably our best option, and that's what we're going to do today. The next problem that you're going to run to is here. You can see it here and a little bit here. They've put this epoxy around the screws in order to keep the speaker from rattling loose in transport when they're moving them around, when they're shipping them around, and when you're moving around as well. So this epoxy sometimes can really be a gigantic pain to get these screws loose. This is looking actually kind of thin. I've seen it a lot thicker than this. Your options with this epoxy is to heat it up to 200 degrees. You can do that with a soldering iron. And then what you'll do is you'll take a straight razor and then you'll try to cut around it where the epoxy and the screw meet. That's one option. This is looking so thin today that I'm not really going to worry about it. I think maybe a little bit of a torque will get these loose without having to do any heating of these. Let's see. All right, let's go. All right, we got one off. Let's rock that other one and get it off. Little rocking back and forth, gentle pulling. You don't want to pull so hard that you pull that wire out of that connector. That's a bad thing. If it's on there really good, I found in the past, generally if you just rock it with a gentle pull, it'll come loose. So we've got that loose, and red is going to be your positive, black, red, and white is going to be your negative. Remember that. There should be some markings here to identify where your positive and your negative lead is. I can't see that on this speaker, making it even cheaper in my opinion. Fortunately, on the Jensen replacement, that's very clear, but always a good idea to take a picture before you get started, like I have, just to show where things are at, just to give you a refresher, just in case you need to go back and make sure that you got everything wired up before you plug it in. All right, so we're going to take this and put this to the side. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get in here and we're going to start removing these screws. Let's see How bad? Oh, not bad at all. As a matter of fact, barely an inconvenience. So that epoxy obviously wasn't so thick. It wasn't the big issue that it can be, though it can be an issue. The other things is generally I will take a screw out and I will make a map as to where it went inside of the chassis. You always want to match the same screw with the hole as you go around. So that's another thing that you can do. So I have a little piece of paper here behind me where I've marked out where these screws go according to where they were at, and they will return back to that same position when we're done. All right, so that's one. And this one was no problem as well. Very happy with that. Let's manually take that out. Screw it. All right. Actually, you can see there where the epoxy has stuck to the washer. Didn't happen on this one, but it happened here. Yeah, this stuff is the curse of the gods. I really have no idea why Fender is putting this stuff on. I mean, I know why, but I think it's more trouble than it's worth. All right, we're going to use a smaller screwdriver here to get inside the lip of the cab here and remove the rest of the bolts. How are we doing, Ellie? She says that she's seen better jobs, but she'll give me a pass because I'm going to give her a snack later. All right. So we take that out. Its washer is stuck on. We'll deal with that later. Let's put that on the paper. Let's go in here and take out this last one out. Yeah, there was no problem with the epoxy at all. These came out, again, barely an inconvenience, super easy. Yeah, look at that. All done. All right, and that is it, guys. Then you can take your speaker, lift it out, and you are basically done with that first part of the operation. One thing that we will do here very quickly is we'll put these side by side, and you can see the speaker magnets are quite different. Those are, one of these things is not like the other. Much thicker and bigger magnet over here on the Jensen. This is going to give us a lot more headroom. I think that's what this amp needs. It really needs headroom. The other thing that you can quickly do is put them together like this to make sure that the screw holes line up. They generally do. It's not a big concern, but in this case, it's something you can do. So, stock speaker will go in the Jensen box, and we will take the Jensen and place it inside our cab here. We will line the holes up, and we will go from there. Now, let's see if the holes are lining up. Yep, lines up really pretty. So there we have it. We have it in. The holes are lining up with the previous holes. So not a big issue of just putting those screws back in the holes that the order that you took them out. I'm sure you marked that down as I said. And then of course we're going to take these connectors and connect it here. Now as I said, right here you've got the issue of this being a bigger, again like I said, you've got a small connector and a large size connector. What we're going to do is we're going to take a pair of pliers and we're going to stretch this connector on one side open so that it has the same amount of width as the one next to it, so that when we do connect it here to the speaker, then we can clamp it on and you got a firm connection. All right, so using a really small Phillips head, I was able to get in there and pry that smaller connector open so that it fits properly onto the connector to the speaker itself there. So that's a little bit of an operation again that you can do if you feel like you want to do that by just spreading it open and opening up enough so that it connects properly. Another final smart thing to do is probably take some electrician's tape and put it in that area as well, just to make sure that it's a good connection, or clamp it. Those are your options. I clamped it myself. It's on there really well, so I'm not worried about that, and it'll be easy to take off again next time if I decide to do another speaker swap, which I hope not. I think we're set with this one. So everything is now connected back together again. We've got our wiring done. We've replaced our speaker with the new one. We've got it bolted in correctly. This is basically it. All right, guys, the moment of truth. Boy, it's been a fun ride. Let's see if we get any sound out of this. Looks like it's working. So don't get me wrong, the stock speaker that comes with the Champion 40 is not bad. Again, like I said, it's quite serviceable. However, it has limitations in terms of its headroom. You're really going to need a whole lot more headroom than this speaker provides. That is one of the main reasons why you should consider doing a speaker swap with your Champion 40, your 50, your 100. In terms of putting in a new speaker, you want to seriously think about what are the reasons that you're doing it. I think that if you're considering doing live gigging with this one will suffice. I think that a speaker swap will give you a lot more headroom. I think that a speaker swap will improve the clarity in terms of the Fender highs that you get out of this thing. But again, this is a everyman speaker. It's neither here nor there. It's designed so that it can cover a lot of ground without being particularly good with any of them. Again, I wanted to really emphasize those Fender cleans. That's why I thought that this Jensen C12N would be a fantastic speaker to put in here in order to work that out. Now, well, that's it for today, guys. As you can see, this speaker is in successfully. Really easy peasy, not a big problem to do a speaker swap with these Champion 40 models. This speaker is going to require, even though it's 10 years old, it's still new old stock. So it's practically brand new. It's going to require a bit of breaking in. Don't be discouraged if you don't exactly like the sound of the speaker that you're putting in at first. Give it a couple of weeks, at least a month of solid playing every day. Really crank it out to break that speaker in, to really get it to the point where it's sounding great. I already, just listening to this, I'm happy already with the sound that I'm getting out of this. I can hear already a much more fuller articulation, a lot more depth in terms of what I got out of this previously with this Fender special design speaker. It's not really a big wonder. Again, that is a teeny tiny magnet on this thing. And it's, again, not a bad all-around speaker, but to be honest with you, it could stand a little bit of improvement. I think that doing this speaker swap is a good way to go. If you have a spare speaker laying around like I did, it's even cheaper to do. With an amp of this value, I would keep a budget of around $100 or less. If you are planning on doing a speaker swap on this, you can find some fantastic speakers, new and secondhand, that will do the job if you want to do that for that budget, to keep this, again, as a respectable but really powerful budget amplifier. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something out of this. I enjoyed presenting it to you. If you liked today's show so much that you say to yourself, gee, I want to get more of that, well, why don't you join us? Hit the subscription button and join this community that's growing all the time. If you like today's show, also hit the like button. That helps with the YouTube algorithms. And until the next one, you guys take care. Bye-bye.